All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. So we have a special day for you guys today because I did an interview with Nicksick. If you do not know who that is, he is the head coach at Extreme Couture. He is a total savage. He is Francis Ngannou's head coach. He's also was in the corner with Aljamain Sterling, so he's kind of right in the center of the Serra thing that just happened, as well as obviously very controversial end to that fight. We talked about all of those things. We talked about Conor and Dustin's upcoming fight. We talked about Khabib. We talked about Islam Makhachev. We talked about Triple C. We talked about my video that I did about Kamaru Usman and the likelihood that Kamaru saw it and hates me forever. But yeah, so we talked about lots of good stuff. I'm going to let this thing roll. And by the way, before you guys say anything, okay, when you guys watch this video and you go, geez, bro, if you're going to be interviewing people, why don't you get like slightly higher quality? I don't know how, okay? All I know how to do is use a webcam. So if you guys have suggestions, or if you guys want to be my audio visual guy, then give me your number or something. But if all you have is just critique, save it, okay? Save it. I know it's not the highest quality, but you know what? The quality is in the context and in the conversation. So anyway, I'm going to start us off here with a conversation around Aljamain Sterling, the outcome of the fight, and also this situation with Serra, who seemed to, I don't know, have his feelings hurt that Aljamain didn't include him in his corner. So anyway, for the record, Serra's a stud, Triple C's a stud, Kamaru Usman's a stud, everyone's a stud, okay? I don't want any enemies in the UFC except for, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, let's watch this interview. Love you guys. Peace.
But it just answer a lot of the questions about Aljamain. The Serra stuff is, I actually talked to Matt, and I didn't know a lot of the details to that either. I was actually kind of surprised the way it all went down, but I felt bad for Matt, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, the way he's obviously awesome. I don't know him personally, but I've seen plenty of Serra, enough to know he's a dude I would get along with very well. And like, he was super respectful. He basically just like, dude, it hurt my feelings. He's not trying to, have a beef with anybody,
No. And I actually talked to him for about 30, 45 minutes after I saw the interview. So it's crazy because I actually was on his show. And I was like, all right, coach, I'll see you in a few weeks. I'm excited to work with him. And he's like, oh, I don't think I'm going to be there for this one. Didn't elaborate much on it. And then in my head, in the COVID generation, the COVID year, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, there's probably some stuff going on, or he didn't feel comfortable with. I didn't know it had anything to do with anything other than the fact of maybe it was just something like that.
Is there like how many people can a fighter bring to the corner?
Well, in a championship fight, it's 4. Yeah. So in my head, so when I sat down with Aljamain, the very first meeting we had, I just kind of told him, I was like, hey, I'll be there whatever capacity you need me at. If you need me to help you all the way up until the fight, and then you're going to have, your guys in your corner, no problem. We'll set a price and a do this and a do that, right? However you want to handle that. I don't care. Because essentially this is a Serra Longo guy. So, I had no expectations of really what my role would be. In my head, when he's like, no, I want you in the corner, inherently I assumed I would have been the third, with Longo, Serra, then like me kind of helping out, and then maybe another body or another friend like Ally Quinta, somebody like that. So, I really didn't know where that whole thing stood. And
who were the other 2 guys?
So he had Dennis Bazooka in his corner, one of his training partners, and he had Anthony Delemy. So 2 of his training partners that actually stayed out here with us out in Vegas and helped him throughout the entire camp, just to they were giving him a really good look, So, and I talked to Aljo prior to camp, and he had some reasons why he wanted to use certain people. And that's between him and those guys, and I didn't think that it was a big deal one way or another. I think, but the communication, I think, was where it failed along the lines. It sounds like to me, I don't know, but it sounds like that's where the feelings got hurt. So, it's an unfortunate situation, man. Like I empathize, and that's what I wrote Coach Serra. I was like, bro, I completely empathize with your situation. I can imagine how you feel in this scenario, especially
championship fight.
A championship fight, and I certainly understood where he was coming from. And he wrote me right away, and he's like, Eric, I'm not mad at you at all. You did nothing wrong. And I was like, I'm not, even if you were mad at me, I still understand where you're coming from. And that's kind of what I want to relay to you. You know, but we had a really, really good conversation and a good talk about the scenario. And, you know, unfortunately, man, it's the whole fight and everything that's kind of led thereafter has just been an unfortunate kind of stem of events, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you want to know what I saw from that fight? You are a gigantic human being. How much do you weigh?
You know, I've actually been on this, like, what are the little fasting things or something like that with my wife. And it's funny because I'm fine, bro. Like, I work out like 6 times a day, training all day long. And then of course my wife's like, oh, I want to do a fast. You want to fast with me? I'm like, I don't need to fast, but I'll do it with you, you know? So
yeah, you're like, I'm doing 8,000 calories a day.
Bro, I'm jamming all day long. So I'm probably walking about 225 right now, 220, 225, right around there. So, you know, I'm 6'1", 220, but like when I was playing ball, I was like 230, you know? So, but
yeah. I saw that picture of you and Francis with Rogan, and I was like, God damn, this motherfucker's huge. I don't want to derail us. I have a lot of shit I want to talk about Aljo, but when I was thinking about that, like when you came in, I was like, fucking A, he's fucking huge. But yeah, I mean, like, so, I mean, here's like my thoughts on actually, especially in the post fight, just to your point, like about everything that's happened before, after, but like the picture that Aljo took, like with the belt, and people are breaking his balls, and then you see how it actually happened. He's sitting there all bummed out. His family's like, come on, man, you know, like, feel good. It's just the opposite of how it gets construed just based on a photograph, you know? And it's like, I don't know. I think he's taking a bunch of shit that he doesn't deserve, especially like, you know, you and I talked about it on Instagram. It's like, dude, this isn't fucking, you're not outside of a bar, like in a bar fight. Like, this is a sport. It's an illegal strike. There's $2 million on the other side of having the belt going into the next fight. Why should he have to go out and fight when he just took an illegal strike that rung his bell? It's the most blatant illegal strike I've ever seen. Like, why should he have to go in and lose just to like prove a point? It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of to the narrative of how that wants to be spun. You know, if Petr Yan was losing that fight and then through the illegal strike, then Petr Yan's a dirty fighter. You know, like it's just how it's spun. You know, and it's an unfortunate thing, kind of just the way everything went down. To kind of go back to your point, he had like 30 family members and friends that were in town for there to support him or to be there to comfort him if he came back with the loss. So that win was for them in a lot of ways, and they wanted to celebrate his victory, whether we or him or whoever felt that it was unjust or it wasn't won the correct way. But there's a lot of people that spent a lot of time and effort and energy not only to get here but to watch his journey in this process. So I think he was just kind of amusing them, if you will, like, okay, you're right, you know. And I knew the situation that he was in and how he was feeling. I drove him home from the hospital. You know, he wasn't feeling well the whole way home, and I just told him, I was like, hey, look, when you get home, do the best you can, make it look like you're shake a couple hands, you know, give your round. And I was like, bro, I'd get to bed as soon as I could. And that's exactly what he did. You know, he toasted a champagne, he ended up throwing up and then going to bed. Yeah. So you're absolutely right, man. It's kind of how it gets spun. And then unfortunately that's just the way the perception ends up looking.
Yeah. And like in the time between the illegal strike and when they DQ'd Yan, I mean, yeah, like I would imagine if he's in a life or death situation, he probably could have stood up and run around. But the fact of the matter is, as soon as that illegal strike happens, you're going to have an outcome that's not desirable one way or the other. Like either he's going to be forced to fight and he's already, you know, that doesn't seem any more fair than DQing Yan. And so it's like, if he has to lay on the canvas in order to get the outcome that seems to me to be the most fair outcome, then, you know, that's what you do. I don't know. I mean, maybe his bell was wrong that much. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I didn't see any problem with anything that he did. And I think it took the ref way too long to call it off, personally.
I would have to agree with you on that. And, in Mark Smith's defense, I understand the gravity of the situation, and he's probably just trying to make the correct call. But what ends up happening is you kind of put the onus back on Aljo, and it makes him look like he's being weak, or he's this or he's that. He's the one that got fouled. I don't know. And this is honest to God truth. I looked over at Ray, at Coach Longo, and Ray being the head coach. I just told him, I said, hey, coach, this is your decision, but I don't know what they're going to do here. But I don't think we let him continue to fight. If they do clear him, I don't think he's going to be with it. And Ray agreed. Ray's like, no, I don't think we let him continue either. Ray's like, no, this is over one way or another. Yeah. So, and that was the conversation that Ray and I had together. And here's the thing too, Jess, is like, okay, you can look into all the variables and all the ways that you want to kind of handle the situation. That's a 2-point foul. That's a 2-point foul no matter what. So the way the cards were lining up, then that would have been Aljamain would have been up around that, going into 5.
So he would have gotten 2 points taken away.
That's a 2-point foul.
Wow. So Aljo would have won 9-8 at the. Yeah, he would have won 9-8. He's already up 2 rounds. So Jan was going to have to knock him out.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jan would have needed Jan. The way Jan was going, right? If Jan comes in and wins round 5, then it's going to be a majority draw across the board. Right, because
I thought Aljo was up 2 rounds to 1 going into 4
on one card.
Oh, okay. I thought
on, on one card he was up 2-1, and then Jan was up 2-1 on the other card. So now you got to look at
what about the third card?
On 2 of the cards, Jan was up 2-1.
Okay, got it. Yep.
Yeah, and then obviously round 4 was a win for Jan, but now you got to take the 2 points away. You know what I mean? So going into 5, Jan would have been down around, but the way Jan was fighting, the way everybody's kind of perceiving it, right? Well, Jan was coming on. So let's just say Jan does win round 5. Aljo is able to continue. It's a majority draw. And I feel like a lot of people would feel better about the outcome that way. But dude, we're not going to send our guy back out there after, a knee the way that he took. And it was bad. Everybody cage side and everybody around and everybody saw it, dude. It was one of the worst knees I've seen in that position and the way he was. And ultimately, it unfortunately it cost Petr on the belt.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the things I always talk to people about is I'm like, people think that fighters are inherently more equipped to take punishment. And I'm like, Aljamain is equally able to take punishment as an Olympic track star that's the same size as him. He's an expert at rolling punches, so he never absorbs full shots if he can avoid it. But he's just an incredible athlete when it comes to taking shots. And when you got one knee on the ground and one hand on the ground, you are not defending yourself, and you're not going to see the shot coming because you don't think you need to. Like, you don't, so like, it's just of course, it's a heavy shot. Now, moving over to the fight itself, what I would like to tell you kind of what I saw and have you, tell me if you think I was on the right track. But like what I saw was, I think Aljo was doing an incredible job at disrupting Petr Jan's his rhythm in the early rounds. Like he was just staying on him, and like, because Petr Yan clearly likes to get set up, time guys, and then pound them, in the open spots. And Aljamain is great at not fighting in a rhythm, like not letting guys like that catch a rhythm that they can, put a strike through. And, kind of like in a Dominic Cruz type of way, but maybe a little bit more creative and probably a little bit more power. But I thought he looked great, man. And but the other thing I would say about Jan is when he got tired, it was crazy to watch a guy whose body language is "I'm tired," and then somehow the second he throws a strike, it looks like it's the first 90 seconds of the fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a great observation on your part, and that's kind of what we were looking to when we got into the camp. Was I use the word harmony. Like Jan likes some harmony the way he strikes. It's beautiful. It's technical, and to be able to, how do you disrupt that technical prowess that Jan has? And that's just it. You want to break rhythm. You want to be kind of awkward in areas that maybe he's not accustomed to with his sparring partners and the guys that he's been used to fighting, So breaking rhythm was very important for us. And that was part of the game plan. And then, obviously just the output. I think looking back at the fight, I think the output, we could have eased down a little bit more on the output, and then hopefully been a little bit more fresher as the rounds went on.
He put I mean, man, his pace that he had in the first 2 rounds was amazing, man.
And I'll be honest with you, that's what he does when we sparred. So I was not shocked by any means. Like, all of his sparring rounds were very similar to what we saw that night with Petr Yan. But now, you add the fact of the adrenaline and the pressure, and I'm fighting for a title. You get that adrenaline dump. That could have had a lot to do with it. But when he sparred just the same damn way. So at no point really was I overly concerned that we're gonna blow our load here. But I was like, man, this is the pace he's set. And I remember looking over at Ray. I was like, dude, he can get this guy out of here in one. This guy's setting a pace.
Yeah. Do you coach your guys, like, as it relates to your point about like the adrenaline dump and people maintaining their energy? Like, do you coach guys to be careful about kind of that clinch, like just like the under the lights, like where they're flexing just a little bit more than they normally would, and how that just drains them of their energy?
So we have a lot of keywords, and for me, for that keyword, I say sniper. So if you're a sniper, you don't want to be overly tense and like pull like you kind of want to breathe through everything and relax your body, try to slow your heart rate down. So, hey, be a sniper. So you almost kind of have that relaxed sense of security, knowing that, hey, I'm calculated, but at the same time, I'm ready to kill. So that's a keyword that I use for guys when I see them kind of tensing up. Like, I don't want you to kind of be tight through the shot. I want you to be fluid and have, that not so rigid, right? So we'll use the word sniper a lot of times as our keyword for guys to understand what we want out of them.